Welcome, my fellow masters. I certainly hope everyone is enjoying the Gudaguda 4 rerun. As we draw closer to the time of the event's epilogue unlocking, I figured an overview of what to expect from the challenge quest would be in order. After completing the epilogue and all of the subsequent Part 2 main quests, the challenge quest will appear. However, in order to access it, you must also have cleared Solomon. Completing the CQ will have the usual reward of 1 crystallized lore. So whether this is just a refresher of sorts, or this will be your first go at Gudaguda 4's CQ, let's see what's in store for us. This challenge quest battle will be against a single Berserker class boss, Final Oni Shibata, who is extremely beefed up from the version we encountered in the event's story. As you can see, Shibata has 3 HP bars with very large HP pools, 700k, 1 million, and 1.5 million respectively. Shibata possesses the man attribute, along with the traits humanoid, male, servant, and weak to anima elish. He does not possess any alignments. For active skills, Shibata has 3, a 1-turn delayed activation of a 100% critical rate increase for himself that lasts for 1 turn, a 1-turn immunity against mental debuffs, which also charges his MP gauge by 1. And lastly, he can heal himself for 200,000 HP. Shibata has a single target Noble Phantasm that ignores the target's defense, and if they survive, also debuffs their defense by 30% for 3 turns. Now, it wouldn't be a CQ if the boss didn't have any gimmicks. This time around, the gimmicks themselves are relatively simple in nature, but quite effective in leveraging Shibata's large HP pool. At the start of the battle, he will buff himself with a 2-turn 10% increase to defense and recover 2000 HP. Note, he'll use this buff at the start of every turn unless he is stunned, charmed, or under some other similar effect. When Shibata's first HP is broken, he will gain a significant buff, cutting any damage he receives by 30,000 for 6 attacks. Plus, his 2-turn defense buff gets upgraded to a 15% defense increase, and now it has an additional damage cut of 1500, along with a self-heal that is now 2000 HP. After you break through his second HP bar, a 30,000 damage reduction for 6 attacks is once again applied. Additionally, his perpetual defense buff becomes a 20% defense increase, with a 2000 damage reduction for 2 turns. Plus, his HP recovery is now 3000. So, Shibata has a ton of HP, a slew of defense and damage reduction buffs, and he can heal himself. That can seem a little daunting, but the equalizer is the event damage CE can't fight on an empty stomach, which provides a 100% bonus to damage for the servant that has it equipped. But hopefully, you were lucky enough to get that 5th copy needed to max limit break it and increase that bonus to 200%. If you still need that 5th copy, then I would suggest leaving the CQ for a bit and continue farming free quests for it to drop. The 200% bonus makes things much more manageable. I think ideally you would want to leverage that CE with a single target servant that has an ability to ignore defense. Someone like Okita Soji, who already has a 50% event damage bonus and possesses a powerful defense-ignoring single-target MP, would be an incredibly effective main attacker, naturally teamed up with the usual supports like Scotty. Other notable single-target servants with ignore defense include the recently released Dios Curry, Jack the Ripper and Sanzang for those that may have chosen either of them as their free SSR, and Berserker Kintoki, who has been on a rotating banner these past couple of weeks. For more accessible options of servants with ignore defense, there is Assassin Emiya, Lubu Fenzian, Mori Nagayoshi, and Charlotte Corday. However, I think the best accessible option would be to use the event welfare servant Kagetora, even if she doesn't have an ignore defense ability. At this point, all of her copies should have been obtained to give her MP level 5. If she's equipped with an MLB event damage CE, Kagetora would have a combined 300% damage bonus, on top of the regular class advantage over Berserkers. So she should provide enough raw offense to effectively chip away at Shibata's HP. The issue at that point is how best to build the team around her. If you're fortunate enough to have Waver and Tamamo, then you could go with a more offensive-oriented team. If you have to borrow a support unit, then it may be a good idea to add Mash into the mix to provide additional defense and an ability to taunt when Shibata unleashes his single-target MP. Georgios and Leonidas can also work to help keep your Kagetora alive while building up her MP gauge, leaving the borrowed support, like Tamamo, to heal and provide a damage boost to Kagetora's MP. Now, an alternative to the event damage CE is the 5-star craft essence Child of Atlas. It provides an ignore defense effect, and also gives a 30% damage bonus towards Berserkers. Very suitable for this CQ. If you have the CE, then you may find this works better for your particular team composition. However, from what I have experienced, the MLB event CE will provide an overall advantage in damage output, even factoring Shibata's defense. But I wanted to mention Child of Atlas since it could easily work on a secondary attacker to further boost your team's offensive power. Keep in mind that Shibata is susceptible to stuns and charms, which prevents him from using his 2-turn defense buff. So it's a viable strategy to build a team around someone like Kama, who is a powerful single-target attacker, has a charm effect on her MP, and has MP looping potential. A free-to-play friendly option would be Uriel, who also has a charm effect on her MP, plus a damage bonus against male trait enemies. And in general, if you happen to be using the Chaldea Combat Uniform Mystic Code, its stun skill can be used to prevent Shibata from gaining another defense buff. Properly timed, this could be quite helpful when you're at the final stages of the fight. Well, those are just some ideas of how to tackle this challenge quest. I think once you have a good idea of who to use for your main attacker, along with the appropriate supports to best leverage their strengths, the overall battle is relatively straightforward. There just happens to be a lot of HP on the enemy boss, so the battle can turn into one of attrition. Hopefully, this gives you enough info to confidently challenge Shibata and have fun with the battle. Please don't forget to hit that like button if you thought so, or if you simply enjoyed the video. Oh, and leave a comment if you're like me and are looking forward to some revenge on this CQ. Last year, I couldn't quite clear it in 3 turns, but this year should be a very different story. I hope. Anyways, thank you as always for watching, and until the next one.